Hi, so today we're going to talk about how to protect ourselves from negative relationships, harmful relationships, relationships that don't serve us. First, I do want to give you a little bit of an update. Just to let you know, I am in the process of creating some meditations. So these are different than the meditations that I talked about previously, which would be upgrades. That whole idea is to do group meditations to upgrade the planet. These would be meditations that are about sort of personalized, where you would just listen to whenever you're free, not as a group. They will be channeled. And so I do plan on putting them on Soundwise, which is an app that you can get. I will be putting them also on my website. I will be probably posting some here on YouTube as well. Some of them are going to be free. Some of them are going to be where you would pay. So they're going to be sort of program bundles. And so you would get some free and some where you would pay in the bundle. I hope that makes sense. So let's say it all has a topic. So let's say one is like on healing the body. So you would get maybe like 2 free, and then 2 you would pay for, something like that in that topic. Okay. I was given the message to do one for free, like an entire topic. And what I was given intuitively, I was told by my higher self to do the star seed one totally free. Okay, so that's the one I'm going to do for free. That's one that we're going to start off with. So yeah, so you can expect that. Okay, so getting into this video. Okay, this is a little bit of context here. This is something I did not plan on doing today. I did not plan on giving you this message. This is super, super important. So a little bit of context. I sat down to connect with my higher self because I realized that I was having some fear about forming connections, forming relationships with clients, okay? Because I am going to open myself up to getting new clients for counseling. Okay. I had fear because I didn't want to have any further negative experiences with clients that don't serve me, and I don't feel like I can serve them. Okay. There's not a whole lot of those, but they do happen. And just like a few weeks ago, I had one session with a gentleman. It was only one, because then he decided not to continue, and that's fine. It felt different. It felt kind of off. It just didn't feel sort of right. And so so I didn't want any more experiences that were similar to that. So, and I had a really bad experience too, where it was didn't even finish a session. It was an intake because somebody couldn't pay, and it was a big but I didn't want any more negative experiences. Okay, so that is the context for here. I was sat down, I was connected with my higher self. Just how do I heal this? I thought it was something I needed to heal. Okay, and it's not something I need to heal. And so if you're having any similar experiences where you are forming some negative, unhelpful relationships, and there's all kinds of relationships that we can have, right? It's not just clients. Then it may not be something that you need to heal. It may not be karma, okay? And that is what I'm going to explain here. How can we protect ourselves from these inorganic relationships, is what they call them. Okay. All right. So I connected with my higher self. My higher self said, you need to speak to the Arcturians, okay, which are a group collective of 9 beings. So the Arcturians come through, and they're great because they're always so just straightforward and clear and just very informative. And so they're just like the go-to source for me anymore if I really want some direct answers. Okay, so here's what I was told, and this is very valuable information that you need to hear. All right. So they call these inorganic relationships. Okay, and so what it involves is a negative source infringing upon your freedom. Okay, it's basically a negative entity that is infringing. Okay, and they said that we need to protect ourselves from these sources. Okay, and I began to question. I'm like, okay, are these, when you say negative sources, what do you mean? You mean people? Do you mean, okay? And they're like, no, entities that are attached to people. Okay, and we'll get into that. So basically, these are signed contracts only in the 3rd dimension here, only in the 3rd density matrix. They are not of a higher source. So basically, we did not agree on a higher plane to have these relationships, because we would only have those contracts, only the contracts from our higher self are made for our benefit. They're either ones that we learn from. They may not be fun. They may not be, fun la-di-da relationships, but we learn something from them from a spiritual level. Like we overcome karma, that sort of thing. What we're talking about is relationships that don't serve us, and we're not serving the other person either. Okay. They're of a negative, unhealthy energy. Okay, these are what they called fear-based connections. So these are connections where they actually steal your energy. The entity is stealing your energy, and it's not of growth. It's not about evolving and going to a higher level of consciousness. Okay, they're not of a spiritual level. Okay. So what they said is it actually devalues you. Okay, it's like, you might be up here, but the relationship actually brings you down. Okay, so you get like drained, you get tired, you might actually, it's possible to have some thoughts that aren't even yours too. Feelings, if you're an empath, having some feelings. And so my mind went to, as they were giving me this information, it went to before, when I would get really negative YouTube comments, like not even like critical comments, because I'm open to that. Comments that were just mean. Okay, mean comments, and would really bring me down, drain me. I would have a lot of self-doubt. And so I brought that up, and the Arcturian's response was, yeah, it's important to protect your social media too, and all your websites. Okay, because infringements can come in. All right. So they said, these entities have an agenda to keep us from working with who we should. So basically, this is like a block for, let's say that I take on a client that I don't have that I have a negative contract with here. Okay. That is taking up my time. That is taking up a time slot that is open for somebody that I could be working with, and I should be working with on a spiritual, organic level, right? So instead, I'm working with this other person, but I'm really working with the entity, right? Too. And as I say this, I'm feeling energy on my crown here, just as I talk about this, just to share. So yeah, and so then my mind went to that experience I had with that gentleman I had talked about earlier, and they said, yeah, you had a weird feeling for a reason. That was not in your benefit. You were sensing the entity and how that was not serving you. It was actually, they said, to prevent ascension. Okay, it's blocking us, slowing us down. Okay, so how this works, okay, and this, like, I never really I didn't know this stuff. Okay. I mean, I knew there was entities and I knew that there was negative contracts, but I never thought of it this way, because, okay, basically, I shield in the morning, and I thought, I shield in the morning, I'm protected because I have an intention. I'm protected from all entities. But what they're explaining to me is that, yeah, I'm protected, I'm shielded. Okay? Like, I'm not going to take on the entity energy, okay? Like, they aren't going to steal my light as much, at least. Maybe they won't steal it at all because I shield. However, it's not protecting me from getting into these relationships. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So yes, you shielding and just saying, I'm protected. I'm protected from all negative energies, entities, technologies. That is going to protect you, but you still may have these experiences. So what I mean by that is, okay, I'm just going to further explain this just so I hope you understand here. So when you shield, you are protected. So, like, let's say then I go to the grocery store and I interact with the cashier. I am not going to be affected by the negative energy if they have entities or they've been feed. Okay, I'm not going to feel that as much, at least. But that doesn't mean, okay, I'm not, that's not protecting me from getting into a relationship with that person. So, like, not that you would get a relationship with the cashier. Okay, that's probably a bad example, but maybe an insurance agent or something. Okay, and then you have to interact on a regular basis, is what I'm saying. And okay, so I'm hoping this makes sense. Okay, so it's not protecting you from actually getting into the experience and the relationship interaction with those people. You might not be affected by that person as much because you're shielded. So what they're telling us, what they're guiding us to do, is to upgrade our shielding, to actually add more to it. Okay, so here. All right, this is how it works, okay? Entities that work with that person, that are in that person, form contracts. Okay, they can form contracts that are organic, okay? So there could be an actual organic contract with an entity or a negative entity even, okay, because it's to help you learn, it's for your benefit, okay, and so that your higher self, your soul, agrees with that, okay. Those are organic contracts. Now, however, entities in people, or entities in about, not in people, I think so, yeah. I'm asking, I think they could form contracts too. Well, yeah, when they attach, they're forming a contract. Yeah. Okay. So that's how that would work, is that an entity that's not in a person, right, is coming in and forming a contract with you and interacting with you, would be an inorganic matrix only contract. Okay. So when you shield, you're protecting yourself from that. Okay. But these entities in these people, okay, are basically, they're attached to that person and they're manipulating the person. Okay. If they didn't have these entities, they wouldn't form these contracts. Okay. Because it's interfering with their benefit too. Okay. And it's, stealing their light and preventing them from forming the relationships they should be interacting with. Okay. So, and they said that a lot of times, actually, when people are manipulated here, these relationships don't last long, because then the person will actually get out of them, because they're like, I mean, not always, but you go to a dentist, you have a bad, it's not good, you find another dentist. Okay. But it is slowing us down, where we could have went to the best dentist first. Okay. All right. These interactions, these relationships create problems a lot of times. Okay. And the thing is here is that this is a one-sided creation. Okay. Like, if the person's manipulated, the entity is manipulating them, they're coming to you. Okay. So let's say that you're a healer and this person comes to you, okay, to work with you, but then, you can't even heal them. They're creating problems. I mean, you had no part in this creation of the contract, right? It's just creating, and it's not serving you. It's not serving them, but they decided to come to you because of the entity manipulation, right? So, some examples of this would be bad marriages, business agreements, friendships, coworkers, neighbors, clients. So these are all like examples. There's more, but when we get into these relationships, these are inorganic relationships. Okay, so the solution here is to protect and shield ourselves, specifically giving the intention, I am protected from any negative inorganic contracts or relationships. Okay. So what you're doing then is you're shielding yourself more than just not taking on the energy. You are actually shielding yourself from actually having that experience, that interaction at all. Okay. Basically, it's saying, they said, that these people wouldn't even be in your field. They wouldn't even talk to you. Okay. They might be in the grocery store. It's not like you're not, I mean, if you go to the grocery store, there's so many people, but they're not going to come up and talk to you. They're not going to have an experience with you. You would only have experiences with those that are of organic nature. Okay, so here's an example. They gave this example. I am protected from any relationship not in my organic timeline. Okay, or I'm not open to any entity contracts that are of a negative nature. Okay, and then they said too that you can protect yourself. You can add this in, like I protect myself from any inorganic contract or interaction with a non-person, so that like companies, okay, of an origin of a with origins of negative sources. So like if there's like an online business, right, and you know sign up for something online, okay, and then they're of a negative source, that might lead to problems, right? There's so many companies online that we like sign these contracts with, right? I mean, like really sign these contracts with, like, oh yeah, I want to sign up for that course or membership, all these different things we sign up for, right? So we can also shield ourselves and protect ourselves from getting into those contracts. And when we do this, we are declaring our own experience, we're declaring our sovereignty, we are having a life that is organic in nature. And what they explained is that this is like the bifurcation that they talk about. And so the inorganic, it's going to be out of our experience. We're not going to experience that. It's not going to be a part of our lives, okay? We're only going to then experience organic connections. So we're not going to have any experience that like is just harm and doesn't teach us. We won't even be aware of it. Like we won't be together. Like they'll be still on the earth, okay? But at least for now. But we're not going to interact with them. They're not going to cause us, what's the word I want? Like oppose us. They're not going to manipulate us. Okay? Like we're going to then have the potential of more light and freedom. Okay? So I did ask, what angel should we call upon? Because when I shield, I call on the angels. Okay? And this made a lot of sense. I was given Archangel Gabriel. Well, that makes sense. Gabriel's all about communication, speaking, made sense with contracts and interactions and relations. That just made sense to me. They also said, the Arcturians said Michael is another good one. You can call them both. You can call on just Gabriel, but Archangel Michael is a really, really good one. And we can too, because I asked about this, how do we form like new organic connections? How do we form those relationships that are going to benefit us? And we can do that. We can visualize, we can ask for that. And most of the time, these relationships are formed when we sleep, where our souls connect with each other and agree to work with each other, agree to have time together. And I did ask too, I said, well, I was thinking of taking some new clients on today. Does that mean I should wait until tomorrow after I've slept? And they said, no, you don't need to do that. You already did that. Time does not exist. If you decide to then open yourself up and you have shielded and set this intention, then, this is already prepared. Okay. So you don't need to wait to go look for friends until the next day. Okay. All right. And so that's the information I was given. Oh my gosh, I talk a lot. I went on probably a few tangents and I apologize. This was longer than I thought it would be, but this is very valuable information. And I do hope that it has been helpful for you.